This is an SM Media production.
Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the Sit Down right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host as always. And I'm delighted to welcome to this week's episode. It's a pleasure to welcome one of the co-managers at Dundee North End, former Celtic, former Dundee United, former Raith Rovers defender. It's a pleasure to welcome on the show, Lewis Toshney.
Yeah, it's good to be here, Scott. Thanks for having us on, mate.
No worries, it's an absolute pleasure. Thanks very much for coming on. Obviously now into management, co-manager on Dundee North End with Kevin McNaughton. It's been a rather stacked league this season. You're doing really well in it. What's the kind of thoughts been so far of the season and how you're looking forward to the remainder?
Yeah, no, I've enjoyed this. As I say, it's the first stint in management. It's all experience for me and Kev. We say that to our boys quite a lot, to be honest. We're going to make mistakes. But again, we're at a great club and we've got great backing from the board at North End. Have been absolutely brilliant with us since we came in. And listen, the guys, the players as well, especially, have been absolutely excellent for us. And for our first real job is in coaching and in management, we're hoping to get to 2 cup finals. We've made one, and we're hoping to make the other one. We've got a quarter final tomorrow night. Away at Arbroath, another tough game. But again, it's one the boys are all looking forward to. And hopefully we could go do it and get to the cup finals. The league forum, when we first came in, we lost a few big games, and it kind of dipped a wee bit in the league. So we obviously you want to win every game that you manage. It's as simple as that. But we kind of put that on the back burner, and we're concentrating on the 2 cups. And to be honest, the guys have been excellent. And
what about the standard of the league? Like, a lot of people kind of maybe not know just how good a lot of the teams are. Like Carnoustie, like Lockheed, yourselves. Like, there's a lot of teams in the Dundee area that do really well. Just how kind of competitive is the league when you actually look at it?
It's very competitive. I would say maybe there's, not being disrespectful for other teams, but there's like 7 to 8 teams in it that's going to get tough games. And really, like you look at East Craigie this year. East Craigie got to the semi-final of the Scottish Junior Cup, losing on penalty kicks. So again, I think they're sitting maybe 4th or 5th or just below us in the league. Again, it's a very competitive league. You've got your Carnousties, your Downfields who've been absolutely excellent this year. They 2 are going for the league just now. So I think it's probably going to be up to them too. You've got Broughty Athletic, your Tayports. They are all big clubs, and every game that you go into, especially the big games, the guys need to be on it. And recently we have been competing at the top end of the league. I think we are sitting 5th just now, but realistically, me and Kev want to aspire higher, and next season that'll be the aim to go and win the league and go and win the 2 cups, regional cups here in Dundee. And then again, we've spoke about we need to go and try and test ourselves against the best teams in the country. So, and that's obviously the Scottish Junior Cup. We know we could do it. Onward days, we've got good players, but I think adding maybe next season, maybe 4 or 5 players, I think we'll be there or thereabouts.
Brilliant. Well, obviously, yourself, you had a really good career in the game. Like, we'll kind of start talking about that as well. Like, when growing up as a fan, obviously coming from Dundee, like who did you grow up supporting, and who were kind of some of your early heroes?
Yeah. I always, even growing up, I think maybe I've been a Celtic fan all my life, Scott. So I've grew up, me and my granddad taking us to games and that, going through to Celtic Park. I would say probably 5, 6 year old. So growing up, I used to go on a supporter bus with him. And yeah, like that's obviously I made my debut. I signed for Celtic when I was 11 or 12 year old, and I went through the youth ranks there. But there was a Dundee centre in Celtic. So we'll probably get onto that. Actually, I'm jumping the gun just now. But my heroes. Again, it would probably be your Henrik Larssons and your Pet Roths and Big Bobo Balde and stuff like that, who I later trained with a lot of Celtic. So again, they're probably my heroes. But yeah, me and my granddad just growing up a Celtic fan, going to the games as a young kid. So
And like the kind of the process of how you can end up going to Celtic, like obviously starting with your kind of boys club days and things like that. Like when did you first get the bug, and how was your kind of boys club days before we began to talk about the kind of scouting process before you went to Celtic?
Yeah, the boys club. It was one of my good friends, Stephen Gracie, that I was at school with. His dad was the manager at a team called D Club.
Right.
So just obviously a Sunday boys team in Dundee. So I think I was 7-year-old to join them at under nines. So I was playing a year above myself then. And I stayed with them, I would say, till probably the year I went a year above to 11-a-side. I stayed with them for about 2 years. And then Celtic boys, I think my dad kind of noticed a little. I was doing quite well for D Club, and he says, "Do you want to test yourself at 11-a-side, maybe a year early?" So that was the plan. So I went and tested myself, went a year above myself, under 11s a year earlier than my own age group. So signed for Celtic boys, just another Sunday boys team in Dundee. And that was when I got picked up from Celtic, and the scout Sean Smith, who coached the likes of Simon Ferry, Mark Fotheringham, Ross Wallace, all Dundee boys. And that was the kind of pathway I chose.
And then, like, can I go into Celtic? Obviously, like joining the club when you were 12 and things like that. How does it go from kind of boys club to then get into that kind of level? Like, do you notice it straight away when you get into a place like Celtic, just how competitive it is?
Yeah, it was. So basically, there was a centre in Dundee, and Sean Smith, until you're ready to go and get put through on a trial, so you would get it's usual three trial games you get. So the plan was for me to train in the centre, and then when he thinks you're ready, he would send you for your trial game under Celtic. So it would be under 11s or under 12s. So that was the case. But I remember there was guys coming in after me, or some guys before me, and getting a trial game. But in the end, Sean just didn't think I was ready. I wasn't ready for that step up to going in and giving a trial game. So I think I was training maybe 2 years before I actually got a trial game with Celtic. So I remember being like a young guy, being like, how was he getting to go? How was he getting a trial? And I'm still waiting. And I was getting all frustrated with myself. My dad was just like, listen, take your time. Sean knows when the right time is, and you go in. So again, I waited probably the longest out of them all. But when I got the shot, I was ready. On my first trial game, I remember we played Dundee, and we won 5-4. I actually scored 2 and scored overhead kick in the last minute. Like, you couldn't write it. I've never done that again in my career, but that was it. I was ready, and I was choking for that chance. And then you're meant to get 3 trial games. I signed within that one game.
Right.
I signed right after it, and then that was kind of it. It was just 1 year, and then I think I signed 2 years, maybe under 14s or 15s or something. But yeah, that was kind of the process. But there was a big difference, going from Sunday boys in Dundee to going into the academy at Celtic, and even the players and the physicality and stuff like that. I was always quite tall, but I was always quite slim as well and quite skinny. So that was you had to adapt to it, you had to adapt your game. But because I was with Sean and he kind of got us ready for it, I felt ready when I went in.
And do you kind of move, like, when do you kind of move down? Like, is that always kind of what they expect? Like, when you sign a pro deal, do you move down to Glasgow with them, like, straight away?
So no, what it was is I trained. So Tommy Burns was still alive, and Tommy Burns was really close with Sean Smith. They worked together, so it was kind of just I trained in Dundee on a Tuesday or Thursday, and then every Friday night after school, you would leave school and you would go through to Glasgow and train with your team. So I think it was like under 12s and the 15s, under 14s, joining right through. So it was just one night, and then on a Sunday it was games at the science parks. That was where we played our home games, and then obviously away. So it was like twice a week. But Celtic paid the expenses, and obviously my dad, and there was maybe a couple that would go through as well. So it wasn't just you going through, just yourself all the time. So they kind of split the lifts and stuff. So, but it's a big commitment for my dad as well. Like, every Friday night, he would need to take off his work to make sure I get to training on a Friday, to train with my team. So it was a big commitment for him as well. But luckily, it paid off as well.
And look, when you're getting into a big club like that at a young age, is there expectations that at a young age is kind of overwhelming? Like, when you're at a big club, maybe compared to like another club when you're going to that big club, particularly coming from a different region, does it kind of open your eyes just how big it is when you walk in?
Yeah, obviously I was a Celtic fan as well, so I was in awe of everything that was happening. When I was going through on Friday night, I knew I had to train and need to be at my best. And there was guys out. I remember every single year at Barrowfield, we would get told basically it was just one night. Yeah, that's when we'll get told if you're getting kept on or you're getting a new contract or you're getting let go. And every year, like obviously I made it through every single year, but there was guys I seen their parents and that coming out in tears and crying and stuff like that. It's just you realise how big it is and how big a deal it is, and some guys just don't play after that. They kind of just go away. The amount of guys that I've played with that I think what a player he is, and then they don't get signed. They just Celtic, the coaches, they just don't see something in them. And like obviously it's not for me to judge or anything like that, but they've obviously seen something in me. But what I found is going through the youths at Celtic, right away, it's the winning mentality. Yeah, you want to play well and stuff like that, but being brought up every single game that you go into, it was kind of geared towards we need to win this game. Do you know what I mean? No matter how we do it, the guys, and it was just that. Even in training and stuff as well, from a young age, right through, it was built into you. That winning mentality, feeling was always like a team versus a team. If it was races or it was just something silly, it was always like you're trying to win. Do you know what I mean? In the games, it was, and that's what I bring to. That's what I think I've got good now. Just that winning mentality, and I'll hopefully bring that into my coaching and my management, because I've had that as a player as well. Even getting beat at here, getting beat at anything, doesn't matter what it is. Even in life, like with my daughter and stuff like that, I didn't let her win anything. Do you know what I mean? I'm always so competitive. It's crazy, but I think that's been built in from Celtic youth days, from the coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, yeah, what's the kind of highlights here, kind of youth days before you kind of start to train with the first team, like the kind of youth cups and that, and the kind of some of the players that stood out as well? Who kind of stands out as player wise? Maybe your highlights.
Yeah, so going through obviously the youth, I played in the Glasgow Cup. I was probably the youngest, I think, starter in the Glasgow Cup game against Rangers. I wasn't actually meant to be playing. I was in my first year full time, so I would have been 16. And the players that were playing now would have been your James Forrest, Declan Gallagher. Just trying to think the guys that were playing that are still playing now. Like there's really many. Grant Gallagher as well. Was at Stranraer.
Yeah.
There was guys like that, but as I say, that was probably the first thing that I won as a youth at Celtic. Going through, obviously, we went to all these different tournaments. We went to Qatar, met Maradona, Pele. Like you get experiences that I don't think any, like maybe Celtic and Rangers, but outside them, like as a young kid growing up, I was at Qatar 3 times. Every single year there was someone else. There was tournaments in Belgium. There was a tournament in Ukraine. Just all these countries that I've visited, and the experience that you get it's unbelievable. But growing up, that was the first trophy that I think I ever won. It was the Glasgow Cup. We beat Rangers 3-1 at Broadwood. So that would have been probably 2008, 2009, somewhere along the lines. But again, then you played at Hampden in the Scottish Youth Cup final. I won 3 of them. So we're winning the double in like every single year, the Scottish and the League Cup. And you think of the players that were playing in that, I think there's only probably one still playing out of my age group in 92. And then obviously you've got wee Cal McGregor who played in the team, and James Forrest, Stephen O'Donnell, Declan Gallagher, as I mentioned. But there's loads more that have been released. Do you know what I mean? But that was probably the experiences that I've got, like winning trophies and having that winning mentality, because we won everything really.
And like before, like getting into the first team, obviously, there's a process. When Neil Lennon was there before he took over as manager, he was kind of involved in the academy as well. Did he kind of take a shine to you? And like when he got the first team job, was there a process of kind of bringing you into that kind of setup?
To be honest, Neil Lennon, when he was manager at the reserves, I wasn't in the reserves. I was still a youth team player, so I never really. My first experience of first team football was my debut. I never ever trained, so this was the process. We had a game for the under-19s at Lennoxtown. I think it was against Dundee United in the Scottish Youth Cup, and we were winning 4-0, 5-0 at half-time, like cruising. And then I got brought off at half-time. And I knew the first team manager and the executive was watching the stuff, but I got brought off and I was thinking to myself, what have I done here? Why have I been brought off at half-time? Like it's unheard of kind of thing. So I was kind of peed off. I was just sitting about, and I was just like, what is this? So he came in after the game. We won the game comfortably, and Neil Lennon came in and says, well done, etc., etc. And then asked, he says, can I speak to Lewis Toshney as well? Lewis, come up here. So I came out, and he just says, listen, you're coming with the first team tomorrow. Got a game at Petrodre, Aberdeen, you're in the squad. I was like, and I never trained with him. I wasn't about them. Obviously, I was at Lennoxtown and I walked past them every day, but I was just a youth player. So that was the first time I was really involved. So I travelled up to Aberdeen. Obviously, I stayed over the night before, and then that was the kind of interaction with the first team. I made my debut that night. I was expecting just to be in the squad, in the stands, etc. Me and James Keatons, it was both of us that went up. So me and Keatsy were on the bench. We were like, I can't believe this. And then next time, 10 minutes to go, he shouts on us to make my debut, and I go on. Keatsy never got on. Keatsy actually never made his debut, so he still hates that from that. But yeah, and then after that, I was training with the first team near enough every single session after that.
And what's it like just to go on, obviously coming on for Scott Brown? What's it like to just go on there and make a first team appearance?
It was incredible. Again, it was only the one time in the league. I went like that feeling of coming on. My granddad, my dad, a few of my pals, and that they were all in the stands and that as well, because that was kind of the first time. So like, we'll get tickets. So got them, managed to get a few tickets for it. But like, it was surreal. It just went so quick. I think it was like 10 minutes I was on for. I think I touched the ball maybe twice or 3 times or something, but it's just like that feeling. I remember playing in the game, singing the songs in my head, because that was kind of me. Do you know what I mean? At the same time, so it's a surreal feeling and something that I'll never forget. But I was in a few squads after that, but just never managed to get on. Like, I went to Atletico Madrid when we were in the Europa League.
Yeah.
I was in the stands there. I was in the squad though, but then I was on the bench. Again, the other Europa League game against Udinese. I was on the bench there. They had like Den Italia and stuff, like playing for them. So again, your experience on that, you're going away for European trips, and that was incredible. But I would say I'm probably gutted that it's one of my biggest regrets was no really sticking at it and getting in that first team, because at that time, well, my injuries, I thought I probably could have had a chance of really getting in that team.
And who were some of the good characters in the kind of dressing room and things like that? And like, what were the in training? Who kind of stood out as like a top class player?
Obviously, you've got the Scott Browns. James Forrest is probably like growing up with Jamesy. Like, he used to honestly rip the piss at me, like in training. It was crazy, like how quick he was, how dynamic. We went to a tournament, Villarreal. He got played at a tournament, but we're playing against Real Madrid, Liverpool, AC Milan. We got to the final. We got beat on penalties from Liverpool in the final. But Jamesy played at a tournament. He was unplayable. And obviously the career that he's went on to have is just, it doesn't surprise me, to be honest. He was that top quality. But character-wise, obviously, with the first team, like, I was never in the first team dressing room, so I was always in the youth team dressing room. So it was kind of hard to say them. And obviously, I used to see them and train with them quite a lot. But characters, like in my dressing room, was probably obviously Slaney, Paul Slane. Like, I'm very close with Slaney. I'm actually on another podcast tomorrow. I'm on that Open Goal tomorrow as well.
Right. Okay.
So he's got us on that. But Slaney was just some character. Me and him were like best mates. I used to stay at his constantly. He used to come and live with me, like in my flats in Glasgow and stuff. James Keaton's another one. An absolute character, a pest, a total pest. But yeah, there's so many stories that I've got about the two of them, and like memories that live with you, because you're with the guys every single day. And then obviously out of football as well. Like, I'm from Dundee, so I was living in Glasgow. And they guys are from Glasgow, do you know what I mean? So they were coming to things, and it was good. It was a great time. I wish I can go back.
Do you think as well, obviously, like being a fan growing up, there's more pressure kind of put on you because you know the culture and you're kind of brought up in it? Do you think that puts more pressure on you?
Nah, I never thought of that like that at the time. I think because you're young and naive as well, I didn't really think about that. I knew the chance that I had. I signed a 3-year deal just after I made my debut, and that was kind of the something switched in my head saying, "Listen, you've got an unbelievable chance here. What a chance!" And maybe I did switch off a little bit, and I never got big for my boots, kind of thing. But when I was coming back from Dundee, I was going out and stuff like that, and that's probably one of my regrets. Like, I never drunk any alcohol until I was 19. 19-year-old. And that was after I made my debut. So, like, even leading up to that, I was total focused. All my mates and that would go out on a night out, and on a Friday I would go to school on the Monday, and we'd all be speaking about the Friday nights and the Saturdays. But I never got any interest in that. I was just totally focused on, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to be. Got a good chance, do you know what I mean? And maybe when I did make my debut, I kind of took my eye off the ball a bit and started to be that clunking then, or maybe drinking and stuff like that. And maybe that was kind of the source of why I got a bad injury, or like, I don't know, Scott. It's just, I look back at that time and I just wish I just stayed away from the drink and I just was focused the way I was before getting to 19-year-old. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, it's hindsight. Like, I can't turn it back. Do you know what I mean? I did what I did, and I had a good career up until, like, obviously 2 years ago or so, when I decided to just say, like, that's enough, because my knee, I had 4 operations on my knee. I was just not be able to walk by the time I'm 40. Do you know what I mean? So that was why I got into the coaching and stuff and got the coaching badges.
Yeah, absolutely. What was your kind of highlights as well? Obviously, getting away with Scotland, under 17, under 19, under 21. Like, there must be some good highlights for that time as well.
Brilliant, yes. Going away with Scotland was always an absolute honour. I loved it, going to play with them. I think the under 19s was the big one. I think I was maybe 16, 17, my first year full time. And I got a call up for Scotland, and not expecting it whatsoever. It was me and, again, James Keatons. And I was in the squad with maybe like guys like John Fleck and Jordan Rhodes, Lee Griffiths, guys that were playing at the top level at that time. And like, I'm a 16-year-old, no made my debut, playing youth football. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, wow, this is where I'm at. Do you know what I mean? So great times for Scotland. Probably my biggest one was, we went away to Portugal. Ricky Spezia was the manager. It was under 21s. And I was the captain. He made me captain of the kind of the group in that, all going away. I played Portugal. We lost 3-2, but the referee was an absolute shambles, honestly. It was one of the worst refereeing performances I've ever seen in my life. It was just total cheating. 2-1 up with about 10 minutes to go, gave a penalty for nothing, and etc. So, but captain in Scotland was just an incredible feeling. And it's Stuart Armstrong. That was, the squad was incredible. Stuart Armstrong, Ryan Jack played that day, Fraser Fyvie. I think Islam Farouz, that was when he was kind of on the scene as well. He scored. Me and Clark Robertson was centre halves. So yeah, it was a great experience going away to Scotland. I actually scored. I played. It was going to be my kind. I was under 21s as well. It was going to be kind of the up and coming campaign. It was my first game against Luxembourg. We won 3-0. I scored in that game. It was excellent. And then the season finished, and then that was when I went back to Celtic. I think I was at Dundee on loan, and then went back to Celtic, and that was when my first done my knee, and I never played for Scotland again after that. So that was a gutter as well. But yeah, going away with Scotland was an absolute honour. I loved it.
And like Kilmarnock, obviously the loan to Kilmarnock, like, how did that kind of come about, and like getting that kind of first, because you played a wee bit for Kilmarnock as well. Like, what was that, just to get a kind of run of first team games? Yeah,
no, it was excellent against Scotland. That was my first professional, obviously playing with Celtic for the 10 minutes, but that was my first time going into a professional club, going into a new club really as well. Obviously it's seasoned pros and that. I'm good mates with Gary Harkins now. I ended up playing with Dundee as well, but he was there. He was the more experienced one. He took us under his wing. Do you know what I mean? He was absolutely excellent. I was an 18-year-old boy coming into a team fighting for top 6. They actually won the cup. They beat Celtic in the final, which was very, very odd for me, because...
Was that weird? How weird was that? Like,
it was very weird. That was crazy. Like, obviously, I was playing for Kilmarnock up until I couldn't play against Celtic in the final, which was a gutter. But then, obviously, the next game we played, I started the game, I played the full 90, and they paraded the cup around at Rugby Park, and I had to just stay in. Like, I was going back to Celtic at the end of the season, so it was kind of like, I kind of get involved in that, but I was delighted for the guys. Don't get us wrong, I was delighted for them, but again, it was just so awkward and so weird that I couldn't get involved in it, and I couldn't. It was one of them. But yeah, Kilmarnock was, Kenny Shields was absolutely brilliant with me. Came in, I played. I don't think I missed a game at right back. I played every game up until the final, and then even after the final, I was back in the game after. So yeah, it was a great experience for us, and I loved every minute.
And then you go to Dundee as well. Obviously, John Brown speaks very highly of you, saying you had a tremendous future in the game as well. What was he like with you?
Yeah, he was excellent. Again, it was Barry Smith that actually signed us.
Right.
Barry Smith brought us in first. Obviously, I was playing under Barry, and then he ended up getting sacked. But do you know what? To be honest, when I was at Dundee, I was probably one of the best football that I was playing, but we just weren't ready for that. I think Dundee got called up where Rangers got obviously the club 12, and they got relegated to the league. So Dundee, they never had time to go and get players. I think they only signed me and Colin Nish were the only two they managed to bring in. So they weren't ready for it. They were probably a championship team. And we gave it all when John Brown, especially when he came in, changed the tactics, changed the philosophy and everything about him. It was just trying to win games, and we went on some run. The game that relegated was the Aberdeen. Do you remember Peter Pollitt? He dived against us. He ended up getting against me. He ended up getting a too-much ban for it. Never touched him, and that was obviously, it was hard to take at the time. It was gutted, and being from Dundee as well, like I obviously took it really bad as well, because I've got mates and stuff like that, and it was a hard thing. Especially again, I was still young. I was only 19, 20-year-old, so I'm still like developing as a player. But again, it was another season under my belt. I think I played maybe 26, 27 games in the Premier League that year again. So it was a great experience. Again, like I say that to any young guy or any young player, first chance you get, if you can get out on loan, and get the experience. Because sitting playing under 20s, I know, yeah, it's good and stuff like that, but I think going into a total new team, total new environment, playing at the highest level you can do, but getting that experience, and I think it's absolutely vital, especially for your CV as well, because managers do look at where has he played and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So it was great for me. I had Kilmarnock playing in the SPL, and I had Dundee playing in the SPL. And obviously, when I got my injuries, that was, I think personally, that was the only reason why I got a couple of teams like looking into us and stuff like that, because I had that experience. I proved that I could play at that level. So I kind of set me in good stead.
And like when you go back to Celtic after your time in Dundee, obviously the bad injury you pick up, was there a chance of getting a future at Celtic? Was there anything kind of?
So I signed a 3-year contract, but with Celtic that had the option of the year.
Right.
So basically what was said was, after the Dundee loan, because they'd done well, they were like, right, we're bringing you back and you're going to get a chance with the first team. You'll come with first to Austria. I think it was Austria or Germany, because I went the year before Dundee as well. So that was the plan. I came in, it was the first day pre-season, Scott. Was just doing a simple jump test, jumping up in the land that was just connected. So I'd done that, and I felt a little nip on my knee, just a slightest wee nip, and I thought, oh, what's that? Never thought anything of that. I went to do a bit of running after the jump test and all that. Went to do a bit of running, and there was something all right. I knew there was something. So I went and got a scan maybe like that next day or the next day after, and it was just a little bit of fat pad was just hanging off, or the scan showed up just a little bit. They says that would just be a straightforward operation, 6 weeks, and then you'll be back. And I was like, right, okay, let's just get it done, because it is niggly and I can't run with it kind of. So that was it. Went and got the operation, and I remember coming back, and the knee was just, every time I went on a bike or I'd done any exercise, my knee was honestly like a bowling ball, just swelling right up, just full of fluid. And to be honest, obviously Tim is still at the Celtic physio now, Tim Williamson. We went all over Scotland, went to London, went and seen all these different specialists, and they couldn't come up with why my knee just kept on swelling up. We just couldn't. I've still not been diagnosed, but they don't know what it is. They checked us for rheumatoid arthritis. They checked us for everything. Used to get my bloods taken every Friday. Just constant tests to go through, but again, we don't know why this kept on swelling up. So that was it. But there was a chance. I got told, Lennon brought us in the first day of pre-season. He says, right, we're bringing you back. We're using the contract extension, and we want you to come away and fight for your place and try and get in the team. So I was like, right, perfect. And then obviously that happened, and that was me. I never played. That was from the Dundee till I signed for Ross County. It was 17 months all in. So yeah, it was a hard time.
And do you think, obviously Lennon leaves that summer, that you leave as well, do you think, like, when obviously Dyler comes in as well, do you think there was maybe a chat? Did you meet Ronnie Dyler or anything like that?
Yeah, I did. No, I had quite a lot of chats with him. I was out for that whole year, but even like Celtic had to put another 3 months, so I was basically that whole season injured, going to all these different places, and still no coming up with what is wrong with. So even that, when Lennon left and Ronnie came in, even that first 3 months, that pre-season, I had been brought in. He was like going through the youth and going through me, and then he came and chatted with me, and he was like, "What's up?" And I just said, "Listen, I've been up for this year. I'm no sign of getting back because Celtic had to give us another extra 3 months or whatever it would be until they did say to me, listen, we're not going to let you go out injured. Like, we need to get you back. We need to find the solution," kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I did find that solution, but there was nothing. I think Celtic, it was kind of like it was done. It was kind of like move on, get myself fit, and try and get a new team and try and get in a team elsewhere. Do you know what I mean? So Celtic were brilliant. They were brilliant. They made sure that I was ready to go. I wasn't just thrown out and you're injured, you're finished, kind of. So they gave me an extra. I ended up with another 3-4 months on the contract just to get us fit and get us ready, and then I went on trial at Hearts, Hibs, Ross County, etc.
And like Hearts and Hibs as well, like the trials there, like what was there any kind of sign of a deal coming for they two?
Yeah, two of them said that I was the final piece of the jigsaw. Honestly, I thought it was signing for both of them, and I had to pick one. But then never put anything on the table. There was talk about Lee Griffiths coming back to Hibs. So when I spoke, I went with a week at Hearts and a week at Hibs, and I loved it. I loved both of them. Never really had a preference. I just wanted to get back playing. I was told I would play. I was told I'd be in the squads, and it's up to me to fight for it. So I was just waiting on the deal coming through, and it went a week, maybe 2 weeks, and I was like, "What's going on?" And then Ross County, Jim McIntyre was on the phone. He put someone. He says, "I don't even want to see it. I just want to know how you fit." I says, "Listen, I'm as fit as can be. I need games. I've not played in 16, 17 months." He says, "Right, okay, we'll offer a contract to put someone on the table." And I was just like, "Listen, forget it, Hearts, Hibs. Let's just sign there and get back playing." Do you know what I mean? So I'd done that, and it was great for 6 months. It was good to get back playing again. It was in the SPL. We struggled a little bit in the first 6 months anyway, but when I left, I ended up flying. They ended up, I think, the next season they won the cup and stuff. So yeah, it was an excellent time as well at Ross County. But that was when my daughter was born. So again, I had to get back, and that was when I ended up signing for Cowdenbeath.
How was that? How was that kind of 6 months as well? Because that was a kind of good run of games you got as well. The club on a bit of turmoil, but to get that run, how was that?
That was good. That was great. Again, Jimmy Nicholl. I had Jimmy Nicholl at Kilmarnock. He was the assistant with Kenny Shields at Kelly, so he knew us. He asked, he phoned, and he said, "Listen, we need a bit of help in the Championship, but we're obviously playing against Rangers, Hearts. It was a good league at the time, so it was a kind of no-brainer. It was getting back home. It was getting back playing." And again, it was just, even at Ross County as well, I wasn't the first 2-3 games, it was excellent. I thought, wow, I'm flying here. Really got the hunger, and then it kind of dipped, and I was kind of worried. I was like, I'm struggling here, and it was kind of maybe running on adrenaline. I say that to guys now, like I've had that feeling of being out for so long. See, when you do like ACLs and stuff like that, they always come back flying, but then there is going to be a dip in form or a dip in your mentality as well. And it happened to me. I was struggling. So I ended up going back, and Cowdenbeath was excellent for us. Getting back playing week in, week out. Obviously we weren't great. We lost. Ended up the biggest result ever, 10-0 at Tynecastle. I was sent off that day at 2-0. So the guys absolutely capitulated. But again, it was just to get back playing for me and get back enjoying it and getting on that pitch. Do you know what I mean, with the boys?
And then obviously, like, Ray McKinnon takes you to Raith. Like, how good was that? And then that's a really good season. You finished 4th in the league. Ray obviously does really well out of that, and we'll touch on his time at Dundee United later. But that must have been a really good season as well, because you play a lot. You play 31 games in the league, and the team finished 4th. I mean, it must have been a good season. Yeah,
no, Raith Rovers undoubtedly that was probably my best season in professional. The club, it's a great club, well-run club. I absolutely loved it there, and especially under McKinnon. I knew Ray even before the time signing for him as well. He's obviously my friend, one of my best friends, Paul Keane, the boxer. His uncle's Ray McKinnon, so I've known him like all my life. Do you know what I mean? So again, signing for Ray, it was kind of he took a stab in the dark signing me again, because I had the injuries and stuff like that. And yeah, I did play at Cowdenbeath and Ross County and that, but it was just a new lease of life at Raith Rovers. It was kind of in a team, and I started flying as well. Me and Kyle Benedictus, again, another guy I know from Dundee. We got some partnership. I think we were the last team in Britain to concede a home goal. In the league. I think we went 5 or 6 games. It was some record like that. So honestly, it was brilliant. I ended up getting Player of the Year as well at Raith Rovers that year. Again, it was flying. I was playing centre midfield. I was playing right back. I was playing it whenever it was needed. I was getting asked to play. So, and again, played 31 games as you stated. It was good to just get a run of games, and it's good for my mental health as well, and my mentality just to get back into a team and being liked again and being just able to play with the guys. And yeah, I loved that Raith Rovers. It was probably a real highlight in my career.
Yeah, and there's a lot of kind of good players in that squad that are still doing well now. Obviously, Ryan Hardy down south, like Aidan Connolly, like James Craig, and there's a lot of good Kyle Benedictus. Like there's a lot of. Did you think a lot of those players would go on and do really well?
Definitely. We had some team, even like Craig Whiting, who's at Dunfermline now as well. Craigie Whiting came in and he never really had to off at Raith. And I was thinking to myself, I don't really understand. Probably didn't suit our style of football. We were just kind of, when we played with John Daly up front, we signed John Daly as well. And again, like probably never suited them, but our team was incredible. Like we were a very, very good team. We beat Hibs, even the playoff in that game. We beat Hibs 1-0 in the first leg. And just apart from that, the first 10 minutes at Easter Road, we kind of just, I think we were 2-0 down in the first 10 minutes. And that was the reason why I think we ended up losing that game, because apart from that, we kind of settled the nerves and settled down at full house Easter Road, and we were a better team, and we just couldn't put the ball in the net. That was a great chance for us. But honestly, going into the games against Hibs, and probably, I think it was Rangers actually, because Hearts ran away with it that year. We fancied ourselves. Like we really did. We drew 3-3 at Starts against Rangers. I think that was the season after.
And that was the season Warburton. I think Rangers went up that season, yeah.
Rangers won the league. They were trying to win it. They had to win it at Starts to win the game.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Missed a penalty. And then ended up obviously winning the game, drawing the game, and stopped them from winning the league. I missed a penalty in that as well. So it was great to obviously Rangers already a party, and we ended up scoring in the last minute. So it was great. It was brilliant.
And then obviously Ray gets offered the job at Dundee United. Like, I know there was a lot, like, Ray's probably one thing, as he's, like, any time he leaves a job, I think a lot of people are gutted that he leaves it. But, like, when did you first hear that he was going to Dundee United and was a potential? Did you think maybe then that you would maybe be following him there?
Do you know what? That was kind of the running joke in the dressing room, like, oh, they'll take your son. I always got called the son of Ray McKinnon. So again, there was nothing really concrete at the end of the season and stuff like that. There was nothing set in stone. But then obviously when he got the Dundee United job, etc., it was kind of, I got a phone call it was Darren Taylor, and just letting us know that they were interested and stuff. But just before that, like, I signed, Ray McKinnon made me and Kyle sign another deal. So I still had another year on my contract. So I would need to obviously pay money for us, and obviously I think there was like 4 bids rejected. Rafe kept on saying no. And I was just sitting in the dark saying, listen, obviously Dundee United are a massive club. It's coming back to Dundee as well. I did want the move to probably happen, but in hindsight, like, I love my time at Rafe. I probably look back and say probably shouldn't have moved, because the amount of injuries I got at United. At Rafe, I never had any injuries. I was playing every week. It was fine. Whether that would have happened or not, I don't know. Again, you're looking back, but when I went to Dundee United, I was fully focused on trying to get them back up to the Premier League. And again, it was just, I think it was maybe the first 6-7 games I played, and then injuries just hot again. My knee came back. I was playing with a broken toe. I had to get, honestly, I think I went about 6-7 games getting injections in my toe just to play a game. So I couldn't feel, just local anaesthetic in my toe, so I couldn't feel, like, I couldn't even put trainers on. My toe was absolutely knackered. But again, like, people don't understand that, and they don't recognise stuff like that, like that players go through and stuff. And that was my mentality. I just wanted to play games. I had all that time out. I didn't want to be that guy that been like, oh, he's injured all the time and stuff. And I have got that about us, because people do say, oh, he's injured all the time, don't go near him, etc., etc. But realistically, a guy like Ray McKinnon or a guy like I respect, I would run through the brick wall for them. I'd run through a brick wall for my manager. Do you know what I mean? That's the sort of guy I am, the sort of mentality I am, and then that's what I kind of want from my players as well. Like, looking through a squad, saying, like, who would run through the brick wall for you? That's the guys I'm wanting in my team, and that's kind of the way I look at it.
And obviously, that season you win the Challenge Cup. But what was that to get a trophy in the cabinet? How good was that feeling?
I was great. I was great. Obviously, I would rather get promotion. Do you know what I mean? But with the injuries that I have, Scott, I think I was on the bench the first time when we won it, and I never actually started. I never played, so I was pretty glad at that. But again, like I probably was the fit. I was playing like here and there, and all the way through my United. I think the first year I played quite a lot of games, but I was still managing injuries and stuff like that. I know that I'm blaming my performances or anything like that. I wouldn't do that, but again, I just couldn't get a run of games, and I couldn't get that feeling of playing week in, week out, and being 100% fit. I don't really think I had it at United. Like I had it at Raith, I had it at Cowdenbeath, where I was feeling like good, but I got to a stage at United where it was just constant injuries.
Mm-hmm.
It was something after another. If it wasn't my knee, it was my toe. If it wasn't my toe, it was maybe my hamstring or something, etc. Do you know what I mean? I just couldn't get that run. But obviously, winning the Challenge Cup was excellent. No playing in that's probably a bit gutter. I think I've won two, even at Inverness as well. Maybe three actually. I think I won two at United and one at Inverness. But again, we never got to play the final at Inverness due to COVID.
Aye.
But again, we were in the final, so done quite well in that competition. But without actually playing in the final.
And with Dundee United at that time, obviously they're just coming down. Was there a lot of pressure around the club at that time because kind of the Dundee United fans get used to being in the Premier League? I mean, they were probably in the Premier League for 40 years or something. Is that did you recognise that kind of pressure to get straight back up?
There was like to me there was no really any pressure. I played at the highest level at Celtic and stuff, and that was kind of pressures. Do you know what I mean? But coming in, being from Dundee, going out and walking the town centre and stuff like that with your daughter and stuff, you're always going to bump into people and they're always going to have their opinions, Scott. And I did get a lot of that. If I'm being honest, I was going out with my mates and stuff like that. Yeah, it's constant. Dundee's a small place, and a lot of people know your business, and that was it. That it comes with it. It comes with the pressures of being at a big club, and I know Dundee United and Dundee are both massive clubs, and the expectation is to be probably fighting for Europe, especially Dundee United. They expect them to be up there, and I totally get it. But at that time, in the championships and stuff, they had to realise that it was kind of a rebuilding squad, and we gave it all. Like I don't think any fans would probably say that it didn't have maybe the quality in that lacked, but Ray McKinnon and stuff like that, and our squad of players, we gave everything to try and get up, try and get Dundee United back to the Premier League. And we fell short in the playoff the very first year. I think it was Hamilton away, the last game. We just fell short, lost 1-0 at the New Douglas Park. And then again, we fell short again, and Ray McKinnon obviously lost his job as well. And it was a hard time, a total hard time. And then obviously Xabi Alonso coming as well, but I never even played a game under Xabi Alonso. Again, I was injured for I think it was a year and a half. Of him going into Robbie Nielsen's era as well. Never played a game, so it was hard for me to say what went wrong, etc. But the guys that I played with, and when it was playing, we gave it all, and I was gutted. I was gutted we never made it up to the SPL.
What was Xabi Alonso like?
Weird, very very like controversial. A meeting every single morning. Guys would just want to go out and train and get training, get the balls out and stuff. He had a meeting every single morning set. To be fair, honestly, Scott, I was injured, so I used to, as soon as he walked in the room, I walked out the room and got out. I didn't want to sit in any meetings because, one, I didn't understand the word he was saying, and two, it was just absolute nonsense as well. But a great guy, like he was actually all right. Like he knew he knew the coaching brain, he knew what he wanted to do, but it just never clicked. It just never worked at us, and it was unfortunate. But again, when Robbie Nielsen came in, it was totally different.
And obviously, you've the loan spell at Arbroath as well. When then kind of going to Brecon, were they just to try and get some fitness?
Again, Scott, I was too early. The Arbroath one, I lasted 45 minutes, and I knew after 10 minutes I shouldn't have done this. I remember playing in the game. It was Bobby Lynn was saying, we'll get you Arbroath, we'll get you games and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, let's. And my mentality, I'm like saying to the physios, right, I'm ready to go. I was never ready. My knee was I never even tested it. I wasn't training with United. I was literally just doing runs with a physio yeah, I was able to run, twist and turn and stuff, but it's not the same as going into a game, especially on AstroTurf. So that game again, when I went alone at Arbroath, I played 45 minutes, and literally 10 minutes in, I remember going in for a tackle. I looked at my knee, and there was a big, massive lump coming out the side of my knee, and I was just like, this went again. I don't know what it is, and I honestly couldn't move. I lasted till the 45 minutes, and I had to say to Dick Campbell, and I says, "Listen, Dick, I must apologise. Don't be silly." He says, "Go and just get yourself fit, and we'll get you back." But again, like I think that was the other season. I was that kind of just put us another step back. And then the Brecon one, I was a bit better. I was ready. I'd done a few games, played a few games with the reserves and stuff. And then Barry Smith was the manager at Brecon, knew what I could do, needed us to come and play games in League One. So again, I went there and I thought I'd done well at Brecon. Enjoyed that. I played maybe 6-7 games or something. But again, you're right, it was just to get games and get back into the swing of things and back enjoying it again.
Mm-hmm. And then you go to Falkirk, obviously, after Dundee United. Lee Miller was the manager as well. Did you know Lee Miller before you signed?
Well, Ray McKinnon was the manager at first. Ray McKinnon was, so again, it was the start of the season. So Ray McKinnon was Falkirk, and he says to us, "Do you want to come in and see if you're fit?" I was kind of to prove my fitness. Mm-hmm. So I went and done a pre-season at Falkirk. But again, after being at United and being out for that year and a half, coming in and playing a couple of games for Brecon, I was still miles off it. I was still so far off it. But that was when Falkirk got relegated to League One as well. So they were rebuilding. It was a rebuilding job. Ray says, "Come in, do a pre-season, see how you got on." So I done that and I loved it. I kept fit. I played a few pre-season games. So McKinnon gave us a 6 month. He says, "I'll give you 6 months to January, see how you got on." So again, Falkirk was excellent. Started off flying. And then for some reason, I think Ray fell out with us and I wasn't his son anymore. I just never played. I went maybe 10, 12 games. I was in his office saying, "Why am I not playing? I need to get in." But you had Mark Dunn and Gregor Buchanan, who was club captain at the time. They were doing all right, but they weren't winning games, etc. They weren't. I wasn't like they were flying. Do you know what I mean? And he ended up losing his job. And the first day in, I remember Lee Miller and Dave McCracken bringing us in the office and asking us, "Right, what's the script? Why have you not been playing?" And I only had till January on the contract. I think this was maybe September, October time. There was only 2 months left. And I was just like, "Listen, I don't know why I've not been playing. I'm fit, I'm ready to go." So he says, "Right, you're back in, you're in." I think it was Bonnyrigg or Linlithgow, I think, in the Scottish Cup. That was my first game. It was on the TV, it was on the cameras. I played in that game and I was excellent. I played well. And from then, I think I played 6-7 games in a row for Lee Miller and Dave McCracken. Loved it. And then offered us a new deal and stuff, but I had Inverness on the phone wanting us to go up there. So it was kind of like playing a championship, play with Falkirk, which I did love, but I just wanted another crack at the highest league. Inverness is a big club. Once I spoke to John Robertson, I was just like, "I need to go up there and give this a go."
And you obviously go to Inverness, and there's a small thing that comes along called COVID. Does that kind of kill that spell off?
Killed us. Yeah, killed us again. But to be fair, the COVID situation, like we played, I think we done well the first 3 games and stuff. When it done Fairman, we won. Well, we're pushing for the playoffs. Or we're pushing to win the league. I'm not actually quite sure. I can't even remember if we were going for the league or not. But again, I was loving it in Inverness, and then obviously COVID hit. And then I ended up getting an injury doing my quad, pulled my quad. And that again lasted, went for scans, etc. And it just kept on reoccurring, kept on coming back with pre-season. And because of COVID, I wasn't getting the physio, and I just kept on doing it. I think I'd done it maybe 3 times. And again, it was just another injury where my head was just like, this is just unreal. And it was a different injury. I've never done my quad before in my life. Whether it's overcompensating for my knee, I don't know, Scott, but it was just another thing that just to add to the list. And it was just coming to the point where I was thinking to myself, is this really what I'm going to be like? Signing for a club, like a good big signing kind of thing, and you're going to play, and the next thing you're injured again, do you know what I mean? And you're getting labelled that injury, do you know what I mean? Injury prone and stuff, and I hated it. That was the one thing I hated about being obviously a footballer.
Yeah. So when you kind of make that decision to call time, obviously, like how hard is that to kind of come to that realisation?
It was really tough. Again, it was calling time on the professional, the full-time career, but it was like sitting back and saying, like, what do I do next? What do I do now? I mean, I went and done my coaching badges. I'd done my coaching badges when I was at Falkirk. done my B licence. So that was good to get in. And I loved the coaching. I've always been, the only thing I know is Scottish football. I've been in football all my life. So again, I wanted to be involved in football, regardless of if I was playing or I was coaching. But at that time, like, getting a coaching job is difficult, and it's difficult getting a playing job. So again, I didn't know what to do. So I went back, I went into management. One of my pals at Downfield, they took over at Downfield. So they're like, why do you not come in and manage at Downfield? I was like, right, perfect, a great opportunity for us. Junior club as well, in the same league as what I'm doing now. So I went in there, and honestly, I can't thank them enough for getting us in there and giving us that opportunity. But it was so difficult at the time. I was not getting paid. I was kind of like, I had to build a team. There was no money. The previous owners and the previous manager were paying the guys at Downfield, etc. So there was guys coming in. We were like, listen, there's no money there. So I think basically everybody left, and I think we ended up with 3-4 players. So me and probably myself had to go and build a team together to go and compete in this junior league. And so I went and done that. I think I managed to sign maybe 12, 14 players or something. I got a squad together which was half decent. And I was excited to go through. But again, I was just like, I had in the back of my head, should I try part-time football? I need to get back into this. I've still got that hunger. And I started obviously with a layoff. My quad was fine, my groin was fine. I was feeling all right. And I was just like, do you know what? I'm going to give this another crack. So I managed to get on the phone and Dick Campbell again with Bobby. Bobby's my good mate. So Bobby was like, listen, Dick will have a look at you. And they were obviously in the championship. So I went and trained with Arbroath. I went and played a game for them. I scored in my trial game. And it was excellent. I thought, do you know what? I'm feeling good here. And Dick was like, I want to keep you coming in. So just as that, I ended up getting, obviously I had to say to Downfield, listen, I'm going away to try and get back playing. So that was away from there. Sorry, I never even started the season at Downfield. But I'd done all right with them. I got the team in there. So I went in and I got a job interview. So I phoned Dick Campbell and I says, listen, I've got an interview for a job. He was like, yeah, no problem. Go away, do your interview, and then make sure you come back, and we'll get you back in and we'll see if we can get you a contract. I was like, right, okay. But while I was away, Gary Naismith phoned at Edinburgh City.
Right.
While I was away doing the course. So I was sitting and he says, listen, I don't want to see you, I don't want to train you, I just want to sign you. I think you're a player. If you're telling me you're fit, we'll take a gamble and we'll put someone on the table for you. So I was thinking I was in 2 minds, so I phoned Dick Campbell again. It was just like, listen, they've put someone on the table. Edinburgh, again, like with my track history, I can't really turn it down. I kind of need to take it. Could you open anything? Or Dick Campbell says, no, we want to see you keep playing. I was just like, right, I'll just say I need to sing for Gary Naismith and Edinburgh. And I'm glad I did, because again, it was an excellent club, an up-and-coming club. They treated us well, it was professional. But again, an injury hurt. I'd done my hamstring and done that maybe 3 times, my hamstring, and it just kept on reoccurring. And I just thought that I played maybe 5-6 games, and I was just like, right, that is it. I need to stop now. This is getting beyond the joke. So that was kind of where I took a step back.
And like going to Dundee, like with Dundee, there's a lot of kind of clubs in that kind of Midlands League as well. Like you spent time at Downfield. Like how did the kind of North End job come about?
Again, we've seen it online. I'd done my B licence with Kev McNaughton.
Right.
And funnily enough, me and Kev were brought up at the same street. We went to the same primary school, obviously different ages. Kev's a lot older than me. He looks it as well. But Kev, we're same street, same school. Everything was like same group of pals and stuff like that, but never actually crossed path with football wise. So it was kind of the first time we went on my B licence, and we met there. So again, my first day, it was like, oh, you're travelling from Dundee, perfect. Next thing, that was when we kind of came close. We were travelling back and forward, done my B licence together, and then we kind of just says to them, we had the same ideas, the same thoughts of football. Everything just kind of clicked. So I says to him, I actually messaged him saying, listen, I'm thinking about putting it in for this Dundee North End job. He says, I'm not playing. I had a job at the time. I just says, listen, I need to get back into football. And Kev was like, mate, that would be class. I would do it with it. He says, what about, do you want to do it together? And we'll go in for it as a co-manager.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, not a problem. So we went for the interview. We met Gary Irons, who's the president, Bruce Harper, so all the committee. And as soon as we kind of just started speaking to them about the football side of things, and obviously they liked what we were saying. This was the vision that we wanted to go, and to be fair, we've no looked back. We've kind of stuck to what we wanted to do, what we were going to do, and the committee have been absolutely brilliant with us. They've backed with, they've seen obviously some poor results, they've seen some great results, but they're saying they've seen a massive difference in the guys as well, and that's it. We want guys at our level that we are at just now. They're working every day, Scott. So we don't want them to dread training, dread coming into training and stuff like that. We want them coming in, buzzing for the train, be like, oh yeah, we've got training night, we're doing this, do you know what I mean? We'll get a laugh with Kev and Tosh. We're laid back guys, we've been through it. Kev's played at the highest level in England, been at Cardiff, he's been there and done it. Me as well, kind of know so much Kev played at a much higher level than me, but I've been at that level where at Celtic I know what it takes. I know what we need, and I know the professionalism, and guys like the guys now look up. I wouldn't say they look up to it, but they could come with it, and we're separate characters as well. Like I'm kind of more hands-on and more come and see me. You could speak to me about anything and stuff. Kev's kind of back. He knows the tactical side of games. He comes in and he throws a hairdryer at a few of the guys. He's got that in him to turn it on and turn off. Do you know what I mean? He's brilliant, to be fair, and it works. Well, it's working just now anyway. But first job in management, we're hoping to win these 2 cups. If we could go do that at this club, and then next season the plan is to go and smash it and really, really go for this league, go for the Scottish Junior Cup and go for that. And I keep saying that to the guys. That is the minimum. That is the minimum aim, the expectations are, because we want it. What's the point of going into next season and happy to challenge for leagues or challenge for cups, etc. It's not how we work. We want to move up the ladder as well. It's as simple as that. The guys know that. We want to get the experiences here and win it and get North End on the map again and get them the biggest junior cup in Scotland. That's our plans. And I fancy what to do it. I really do.
And do you think as well, obviously, like the way kind of the pyramid system's going, is the plan to kind of join that at some point? Is that in the process?
We talked about that in an interview as well. That is the plan to get North End the licence that they need. I think it's the floodlights, etc. they needed and stuff like that. So that is in the plans of North End to do that. And again, the things that are happening at the club just now is brilliant. You could see the difference, and you could see everything, the professionalism and the way we're going. It is only looking up, and it's credit to the guys behind the scenes because they do so much, and it's a credit to the players as well. The players have been absolutely excellent since we've came in. We had a squad of 25 players when we've came in, which was massive, and now there's only 18 guys there. So we've had to cut the squad, obviously having a lot of players. There's guys going to be left out of stuff. We don't want that. We don't want to be leaving players out on match day squads and stuff because we don't want negativity around the place. We want everybody to be positive and stuff like that. And everybody just now has a role to play, and they know what's expected, and they've been absolutely brilliant.
Brilliant. We're going to close with the quick fire round. Are you ready to be put in the spot?
Go on.
Best player you've ever played with?
Played with would be Cal McGregor.
Best player played against?
Marco Verratti.
Very good. Where did you play against him?
21s, Scotland. We played Italy. Played Italy, 21s. Do you know what? I came off the bench, only played 20 minutes, but watching him in real life, I honestly don't think he left the centre circle. He was a joy. I think it was 3-1 Italy, but yeah, Verratti was incredible.
Yeah, very good choice. Favourite stadium?
Celtic Park.
Best manager you've ever played under?
Played under, I would probably, do you know what? I'd probably say Stevie Frail.
Right, okay.
Stevie Frail I wasn't at obviously a professional level, but see Stevie's coaching methods and training with him every day for the youth. I think I'd done 3 years. And obviously we won everything as well. Stevie Frail was brilliant for me especially.
Brilliant. Favourite film?
Favourite film? What is that? Life of Brian.
Very good. Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
Funniest ever teammate?
It's got to be Slaney. Slaney, 100%. Or Gary Harkins. Gary Harkins was a character.
Brilliant. Final question. Your best memory in football?
Best memory is making my debut for Celtic. Coming on at Aberdeen, it's something that I dreamt of, and to have my granddad who took us to the games, I've actually got a tattoo on him on just me and him at Celtic Park and stuff, like it's memories that will live forever. I remember looking up and seeing them all dancing and stuff like that. It's something that will never ever leave you.
Brilliant. Lewis, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on. Best of luck for the rest of the season at Dundee.
Brilliant, Scott. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.